Hello everybody, welcome to the Farscape Rewatch podcast, and this is episode 16, and as usual I am CantWearHats, and joining me is RedNightmare.
Hey! What's that sound? I don't know. I had no idea how to open. Sorry. I need to come up with clever retorts to that.
Amongst our I'll come in again. But yes, we're back, and this is the episode called A Human Reaction. If you remember from last week, we did give you a brief synopsis, which was, go back to Earth through a wormhole and some things happen. It's like, oh!
Okay.
Interesting.
One thing before we go on. We're just going to ignore the fact that we already know how this ends, right? There's going to be a few parts where I'm going to be straight-faced about things not making sense, even though I already know how they're going to make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I already knew this the first time I watched. It's one of the few episodes I remember.
Yeah, this is one of the things with doing a rewatch podcast of stuff that you do kind of remember. Like will crop up now and then, so you're like, oh wait, I remember how this goes. But
yeah.
We will try and sort of review it as it was presented.
Yeah, oh, that's going to be fine. I did that in my notes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just a heads up.
But yeah, why don't we kick it off? And so we start out with Zan and Chiana arguing about something. Chiana apparently stole something from Zan's quarters.
Already?
She said she didn't. Yes, she did. They're sort of bickering. Meanwhile, Crichton is... he's broken out the tape recorder again.
Yeah, he's recording for his dad.
We haven't seen this for a few episodes, or for a little while, actually. But yeah, recording notes on what he's been doing. He says he's actually it's kind of getting to him a bit. Yeah,
especially because, as he points out, I just found my first gray hair. And normally he wouldn't mind that, but he's scared of growing old there. Like, I think it's mostly that it's becoming clear that he has a limited time of getting home before he dies.
Yeah, like, it's entirely possible he may have to live out the rest of his life out here, and he'll never see home again.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know, he misses, like, the sun, he misses, like, a regular day, night, just normal Earth things that you don't have out in the middle of space. And so it's, it's getting to him. But what do you know? Suddenly, Pilot gets on the comm, and it's like, guess what? Wormhole! Out of nowhere!
Get your ass down here! We just found wormhole, and Chiana and Rice just like, well, what a big fucking deal, why do we care? It's like, that's could be my way home. And actually, Pilot shows him an image of basically a camera looking through the bends of the wormhole.
Yeah.
Looks like Earth on the other side.
Bum, bum, bum.
And I love how this is underscored with the choir from the opening theme. But
yeah, that's
the choir. It's very haunting, very beautiful.
Yeah, it's really good, actually. I do like that. Rigel is unimpressed, as you say, and Chiana, she doesn't really know what's going on. Oh. She's like, how come he gets to stop the ship? Is he the captain? What the hell's going on? What if I want to stop the ship? It's like, it's just, hang on a minute.
Shut up, Chiana. The grown-ups are talking.
It's like, I'm new here?
I didn't even know I was going to be in this episode. I was supposed to be dead neck last time.
It's true, actually, which is probably why she's actually only in this first scene.
I wasn't going to mention it until later, but yeah, this is the last scene Chiana is in. She doesn't even make it before beyond the intro theme.
Exactly, yeah, it's Earth, and then of course that's where you put the titles, and there we go.
Chiana's never seen in this episode again, which makes sense.
It totally does.
I predicted it last time. She's probably not going to be as prominent in the next few episodes because they already had written and recorded those mostly. They didn't even know she was going to be there, probably.
Yeah, they may have had to re-record this first scene, I guess, but we don't know. That's speculation, but it seems pretty likely.
Yeah.
Anyway, John is like, well, this is my chance. I gotta go. So he's prepping for launch and kind of saying goodbye to everybody.
Yeah, it's a really heartfelt moment.
It actually really is. And actually first goes to Erin. He actually wants to take her with him.
Mm-hmm. Because he knows she can't go back to the Peacekeepers, and she looks as human as any alien he'll ever meet. Like, come along, you'll fit in. And she's scared, I think?
Yeah, she doesn't think she'll fit in. And at this point, like, they've been in some kind of relationship, but clearly not
actively, because since the whole shuttle incident, we haven't seen anything, and any indication of that happening. And this is, I think, the first episode that again hints back at that ever being a thing.
And it's kind of a big commitment, you know, like leave everyone else behind and come live with me on Earth amongst the people who may or may not accept you. So, you know, I can see
that is true. Yeah, I mean, living on Moya isn't great, but it's at least something she knows she's accepted into.
Yeah. And so he goes back to his module, and Zan is there reading off a list of basically ways this could go wrong. And John's like, yeah, you've told me all of this, and I've still got to do it.
Yeah, because this could be my only chance.
It's like, but it's unstable. It could kill him. It's like, that's a risk I'm going to have to take.
Mm-hmm.
And Dargo turns up as well, and this is actually, it's really sad.
He calls him John. He's always called him Crichton, and this is the first time, as he shakes his hand for the last time, he calls him John.
Okay, I want to point this out. This is a really nice callback. I love this callback that he's like saying to John, like, you know, I'll miss you and all that stuff, and he actually puts his hand out for a handshake.
Right! Because John taught him that during, what was that episode called? The one where they were fighting and where they decided that they were never going to be friends, but at least respect.
Till the blood runs clear.
Exactly. This is how humans show that they were holding no weapons. That's
right.
I hadn't even noticed that. Nice.
That's yeah, exactly. That's something he learned from John, and I saw that and I was like, oh, he remembers the thing.
Ah.
I love that touch so much. It's really nice.
Yeah, it felt slightly alien to Dargo how he did it, but I couldn't put my finger on it why. And now you're right.
Yeah, and John says to him, "I hope you get the chance to go home and to see your son." And man. And he says goodbye to Zan, and she's crying. You know, she's actually weeping.
Yeah, because I also like how she says, "There's a part of you, part of me in you. Take care of it." Because in Rhapsody in Blue,
Unity,
that mind melding, there is parts of each other. They have parts of each other's mind in them.
Continuity. So. It's so good.
It's minor touches, people. You don't have to do it big.
Yeah, and it works. It's really good. And Rigel is there as well, and Crichton is like, I'm going to leave all my stuff to someone. And he's like, oh, to Aaron. Kind of has a joke with Rigel, and he's like, what? Oh, you. Oh.
Yeah, and Aaron's in the back, and she's like, you can clearly see that she's on the brink of tears, I think.
Well, yeah, because remember, they're
close.
They're very close, and they have to say goodbye. And basically, he's had like a bit of a speech, not a speech, but like a heartfelt thing with everyone else. And to Aaron, it would probably be a bit too much, so he just says goodbye. And hops in his pod, and he heads out to the wormhole, and he's kind of hovering over it. Pilot's reading off some, stability readings, 51%, 37%. You've got to go now, or you will never get the chance again. And he's kind of hovering there, waiting, and then he dives through.
Yep.
Because actually, Dargo persuades him to go in.
Yeah, because if you don't do it, you'll regret it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So he goes in, and we don't really see him coming out on the other end of the wormhole, but we do see him crash landing on the beach of Australia.
Convenient, eh? Awfully convenient that he lands in Australia, where the show was filmed.
Okay, was it my imagination? But he's happy. He's like, "Hello, Sky."
Yeah.
And then he gets up and he asks him, like, "This is probably incredibly crazy, but is this Australia?" Like, I'm pretty sure he said Australia with an Australian accent.
Maybe. He may well have done. It's Australia. Oh, also, another quick note of little touches. When he's going through the wormhole, or about to go through, he actually has his dad's lucky ring.
I forgot about that.
That he gave him, and he sort of, I think, kisses it for luck and wraps it around the control stick.
Yeah, we saw that trinket he got from his dad in the first episode.
Yeah, we haven't actually. I don't think we've seen it since.
No, as far as I know, this is the second time we've seen it.
Listen, it's good when people writing the episode clearly know what's happened before, right?
Yeah, Jeremiah Crichton. Yeah.
We're never gonna let that go.
No.
But yeah, he lands. He says, "Is this Australia?" And the woman kind of just walks off. Who are you? Like, what's odd is that the rest of the beach doesn't seem to have noticed that a spacecraft crash landed. Everyone else is just like still doing like.
I mean, that happens in Australia all the time, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
That's how most people get there.
But then then some people with guns show up.
Yeah, and John's first like, "Oh, finally, you found me," and then he gets shot
in the leg
with a tranquilizer dart.
Yeah, he's like, "What's happening?"
Well, but I'm drunk, rock.
And so yeah, he's been knocked out, and he wakes up inside a military base.
Yeah, and actually, we join him as he's apparently being questioned a while already.
Yeah, he's in like a little cell that has glass walls, and it's actually kind of slanted windows.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
It does. It actually looks vaguely like sci-fi, Earth sci-fi kind of contemporary kind of thing.
Yeah, containment cell.
Yeah, exactly. And he's being questioned by a man called Wilson, who he knows. Because apparently, actually, part of the reason he knows Australia and seems to know people there is because that's where they went to test the engines for Farscape 1.
Yeah, they did it in the desert.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know quite why they had to go to Australia for that.
I mean, it's probably the easiest location with a lot of high-tech devices and a giant desert.
I mean,
America has a lot of desert.
I was going to say, like, North America has a lot of desert.
I keep forgetting that.
Mostly in the sort of middle.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the same answer to the question Wilson asks, like, why did you land in Australia? Because it's an Australian series, twit!
Yeah, I mean, that's really why, but... anyway.
Sorry, that was the answer that rang through my head when he asked why he landed in Australia.
It's like, yeah, don't bring attention to it, damn it.
Oh. Shh, hush, hush.
Shh, stop it, stop. So yeah, they've been examining John, and they don't trust him for some reason, and I think it's because, well, it seems to be because they found the translator microbes that are embedded in his brain.
Yeah, and they're actually testing him by getting all kinds of different people with different languages talking to him, and he can just understand everybody. Although
he doesn't actually give them anything. Like, he's like, "What did he say?" He's like, they bring in a guy to talk to him. It's like, "Well, what did he just say?" It's like, he said that he's not gonna talk to you until he gets some more answers.
Yeah,
won't play any more games. That's what he says.
Yeah, that's what he says. I also like that apparently he has been describing the crew of Moya, and there's drawings, and there's one of Rigel. And it's a minor detail, but he's actually a frog in that one. Because his legs are... I mean, his face is Rigel's, but everything else is the form of a frog.
They're much more like spindly little legs, yeah.
Yeah.
And so Wilson has left because he's clearly not getting anywhere with John. And there's a guard there, Cobb, who Crichton also seems to recognise.
Yeah, apparently he worked with him as well.
He says, "When am I getting out?" Cobb says he doesn't know. So he says, "Can I at least read a newspaper? Can I find out what's been happening?" And we're told now the length of time he's been gone, which is 7 months.
Yeah.
Which we weren't really aware of before because it's difficult to gauge how much time has passed because clearly things are happening in between episodes that we don't see. Or,
I mean, the only thing we know for certain is that he spent 3 months on the planet. In Jeremiah Crichton.
That's true, actually.
It's the only concrete duration we have.
Right. So really, I guess he's only spent 4 months with the crew of Moya.
Yep.
Fair enough. Okay. But he's not getting a paper. Obviously, he's not being given anything. No. So, okay, Cobb, who won the Super Bowl?
I don't know.
I kind of John.
I also heard him saying, "I don't care." I mean, he didn't say it out loud, but.
Well, this is I think John's a bit off base here because he's like, "Oh, come on, you must okay, you're Australian, you don't follow, but you must have heard who won the Super Bowl." It's like, no.
Do you know who won the last Super Bowl hats?
God, no.
I don't even know any of the teams.
Yeah, come on, John.
I know. Are the Kings hockey players or?
I don't bloody know.
I think they're hockey players because James and Will are always talking about. Yeah, it's probably hockey players.
They could be both. I don't know.
Probably.
So yeah, that's a little bit off base, but he's like, okay, nobody wants to tell me what's been going on. They want to isolate me. But then, bum, making a return appearance, it's Crichton's dad.
Yeah! And he's like, I want to see my son. This is BS.
Yeah.
Let me see him.
And of course, it is Kent McCord making his return appearance.
Oh, he's good in this episode.
Oh yeah,
Really.
he always does a great job.
Good actor.
And so he's able to convince them to let them actually put him in the same cell as John, so he can talk to him.
Because why they're doing this to John is that they're not entirely certain if he's actually John.
Right. Yeah, they're suspicious that he might be some kind of alien doppelganger or something.
Yeah. Especially because the Farscape module has also been adapted with Moya's technology.
Yeah, right. And they're like, what the hell is all this? This is really weird. We don't know who you are. And so John's dad comes in and starts quizzing him about his 10th birthday. What happened then?
Hats, can you remember your 10th birthday? Neither can I.
No.
If my dad came up to me, what did we do for your 10th birthday? I'd be like, 1, you don't remember that either, so don't lie to me. 2, I have no idea.
I mean, that's to be fair, John's first response is, I don't remember.
Yeah. But I do like, and this does say something about John's childhood life, is because his dad calls out a location, specifically a military base.
Right.
Meaning that John apparently his dad was apparently rotating a lot, being moved between different military bases, so that was a way of John knowing where they were at the time.
Yeah,
what birthday that was.
I think he says Annapolis.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's not an uncommon thing when it comes to like military families. People being moved around, yeah.
But it does tell us something about John's history with his dad, which I like.
Yeah, and we also find out that John's dad wasn't there because he'd been kept over on testing and so on. But he took a plane and flew back by himself.
I don't believe that. I think that was something he told his son.
Well, maybe. Anyway, so right, and he woke him up at 4 a.m. to go fishing, and there's also like a further keeps testing him. He's like, "You caught a really big bass," and he's like, "No, it was a trout, Dad." It's like, "You're right, it was a trout."
Yeah, that's the old tell them something and make sure that they correct you because you're giving them the wrong information. It's standard.
Yeah,
testing.
It's like, hey, do you remember Joe on 2nd Street? Who, actually never existed. So if they say yes, it's like, gotcha. But
you're not who you say you are.
Dun 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 dun. But he's convinced that John is who he says he is.
Yeah.
Which is good. Good. All right, okay. Sorted out then. That's everything's fine.
Yeah. And John's asking, like, as they hug, what the hell's going on? I know standard procedure. This is way out of line.
Yeah, and then
Turns out that wormhole's been open. He ended up going out on for 7 months already.
Yeah, like it stayed open once he left, and they've been trying to figure out what the hell's up with it, and
how, like his dad puts it, like you open a door and we have no idea how to close.
So yeah, things have been a bit weird. Apparently, like there's a lot been going on. John asked his dad to get him out of there because he's been cooped up, and what do I have to do to convince you people, basically?
Yeah.
And he says, "All right, I'll get you out of here." And we see them walking along the beach. They're sort of sat down on a railing, talking to each other. And John says, "This doesn't seem right. Like Wilson wouldn't just let me leave."
And he didn't.
No, there's a van, and there's 2 women, and watching him with like earplugs, like you're kind of being spied on.
Yeah, and what I really like on this, because his father also shows him that his military wings, his Air Force wings, have also been bugged.
Yeah.
And he drops that into the water, which is a beautiful symbol, because those are your goddamn wings.
It's like, boop. Yeah.
That's, for an Air Forceman, that's very symbolic, to just sacrifice those for your son.
Yeah, I mean, the impression we've had of John's dad is that he will do anything for his son.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And so he's talking to him and says that Wilson wants to find out, if it's really you, everything about the wormhole, what's on the other side, all of this stuff.
I mean, John's like, I'll tell him everything he wants to know. I mean, I'm not withholding anything from him.
Yeah.
And his dad's like, yeah, I know that, but he doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. And so they head back, and John has now been allowed out. He's actually allowed to be part of the team working on his module and studying everything that's been happening.
Yeah, and he's correcting them on they're trying to take something apart. It's like, no, that's a propulsion element. Treat it like that. Don't treat it like it's some sort of fin on the end.
He says, like, not there, not there.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he actually says to the guy who's working on it, it's like, hey, I know you, right? It's like, yeah, we did, the engine test. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a whole family reunion. It's like, I know you. Bringing the band back together, man.
Yeah. But then, whoa, there's an alert. Base goes on alert. And it turns out that we actually see an aerial shot, we see a CG shot of the transport pod from Moya coming down through the clouds.
Yeah.
So,
like,
what?
What? Wait, what?
Yeah, so...
Is it Erin changing her mind?
That's what I thought at first. It's like, hey, maybe she's come to hang out. But no, well, she has come, but along with Rigel and Dargo. And John has to convince Wilson to not shoot it down with a bunch of F-16s. Like,
I love this one. He's like, who are they? I can't see anything. Who are they? Who's on first? What's on second? What do you want me to tell?
I love that. Yeah, unhinged John is always a lot of fun. He's just like, I'm just gonna...
that was a nice reference to
screw up some scenery.
Classic.
Yeah. But, he's like, yeah, okay, don't fire on them. They don't have any weapons. It's just a transport pod. It's just a thing. And, smash cut to Erin, Rigel, and Dargo, and John in the containment cell.
Yeah, and here in my notes I had said, like, yeah, who's missing? Zan and Shiana. Shiana makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Shiana being missing makes a lot of sense. I was a little surprised that Zan wasn't there.
I mean, somebody has to stay back at the ship. And
that's true.
I guess Virginia Hay had some free days saved up.
Maybe. Also, if someone has to stay back on the ship, leaving Chiana alone seems like a bad idea.
Fair point.
There you go.
Fair point. And of all the people, Zan's probably the best person to contain her.
Yeah. And the three of them, Dargo, Erin, and Rigel, they're basically explaining what's been happening, why they're there. And Earth disappeared when they went through the wormhole. And so they were worried about him, and they went after him, basically. Mm-hmm. And it was Erin's idea. But actually all she wanted to do was, go in for a closer look, but they got pulled in by the wormhole.
Yeah.
And all this time they're talking to John. This is the first time, notably, that we see this kind of scene from the outside, from the perspective of people who don't have translator microbes.
Yes.
And we hear what they all sound like, and they actually have subtitles.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
which was a bit jarring at first, like, wait, subtitle? Oh, right, we can't understand. Right.
Yeah, and Rigel sounds like sort of alienish, like a not particularly, interesting alien, blah, 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 blah. But, his other Erin's, Sebastian / Peacekeeper language sounds to me, for all the world, like it's reversed speech.
No! Because that's what I thought as well. So I tested that. I ran it through, I recorded some through Audacity, and you can flip audio in Audacity. It still sounds like gibberish backwards.
Oh.
So, because I heard that as well, because the points where the breathing is indicated that it was played backwards, but that's not the case.
I'm just going to quickly look something up here. Oh! Claudia Black came up with her own Sebastian language for the scene where Erin speaks to Jack with her voice, and her voice isn't artificially modified. The clicking sound you hear in the back of her throat is her version of a backwards T. So it is reversed, but she's doing it herself.
Holy shit!
It sounded like that's why it sounded like it was reversed, because Claudia Black can actually just do that, apparently.
What?
Apparently.
I mean, let's be honest, it doesn't sound like anything when you turn it around, but yeah, that's pretty impressive.
There's the clicking sound in the back of her throat. It says her version of a backwards T sound. So that's why I initially thought it might have been entirely reversed, but apparently it wasn't. It was actually Claudia Black came up with that by herself.
Because I was actually surprised because her lips were synced to it. That's what jarred me the most. When she was talking, her lips were completely in sync, and that's why I thought there's something else going on here, but apparently there was.
Yeah, it's actually Claudia Black can apparently speak back. From
Claudia Black personally invented Sebastian. Can we just put that on a resume?
Sure, yeah. From a quick look around the web, this story has been confirmed from a couple of other sources that I've found, but also that speaking backwards like that is actually a trick you can learn how to do, And apparently is something that Claudia Black knows how to do, so there you go.
That's sweet.
Yeah, so...
Still sound like gibberish the other way around, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If it was just another language backwards, that would kind of be a little bit cheating, really.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah.
That's even cooler.
Yeah, that's really cool, so that's awesome. We don't actually hear much of what Dargo sounds like.
No.
He's just mainly growling at people.
I was going to say he just sounds angry.
Yeah, that's what he always sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, I think he'd be the only one able to communicate with humans.
He's like, rawr, smash. I'm like, okay, I get it. I understand. I speak sword and gun.
You speak the universal language of rage.
And so, of course, Wilson can't understand any of them. And like we said, and he's like, what are they talking about? What are they saying? And John's like, they're scared because they've been locked up, basically. And Rigel is actually not feeling too good. He's feeling very sick because they put, I think it was tranquilizer in them when they got out.
Yeah, because they were brought in on stretchers, which Dargo wouldn't let himself be strapped to a stretcher.
And so John's like, right, I'll take care of you. I'll make sure everything is okay.
Yeah, I'll get a doctor in here. They'll have a look at you.
Yeah, and so he pops back out to have a chat to his dad, and he's getting more and more frustrated with how they're treating him and his friends, and then he notices all the magazines that are around are 7 months old.
Yeah, they're basically just trying to keep him in the dark.
Yeah, isolating him. And I think his dad asks him, like, do you trust them? Do you trust the three of them? He says, more than I trust Wilson.
Yeah, they're my friends.
Yeah.
He says outright at some point.
I was like, yeah, that's damn right, John. Like, you know.
Yeah, they better be after all that.
Yeah, I mean, we know that they are. Like, even from just the beginning of the episode, like, he's very close to them. Maybe not as close to Rigel as he is to the other two, but...
No, but still, Rigel has proven his worth, and no matter how much of a pain in the ass he is, there's...
I mean,
we all have a friend that we're like, there's some parts we put up with.
Last week he tried to blow them up.
That is a good point. That is a very good point.
He set a bomb. Never mind. Moving on.
Let's ignore that fact for a moment.
But then John gets called to the medical bay with the time-honoured tradition of, I'm not going to tell you what's happening right now, but you need to see this. And what it is...
Also known as, I am trying to heighten tension.
Yeah, exactly. And, oh god, this is horrifying because...
This is not how I wanted to see this end.
Rigel is on the table, cut open, and is being dissected.
He's dead.
He's dead, yeah.
Yeah.
And... holy crap.
That's
heavy. John...
That's not how... That's not how I wanted my favorite puppet to end.
No, and John freaks out and really goes...
So?
Yeah, and really goes off on Wilson.
Like, before we go on, can we please raise a glass in honor of Rigel?
To Rigel.
Dominal the 16th. He may have been a pain in the ass, but...
He was our pain in the ass.
Yeah, exactly. He was our pain in the ass.
You can't see this, but we're both saluting right now.
Yes.
He will be missed. Anyway, John goes back.
I vote for his dad to replace him on the ship.
Yep. So John is trying to comfort Aaron and Dargo, but you know he's not happy with what's been going on. He really went off on Wilson.
Yeah.
For this.
Pissed. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Exactly.
We sent out probes. We painted a goddamn message on the moon.
Yeah, we left greetings cards on the moon. We put all that stuff.
We sent Voyager out, and this is how you treat the first 3 actual aliens you see?
Like, I am done with your shit. And so the official word is that Rigel died from an allergic reaction to the tranquilizer, but he doesn't buy that. Like,
John's calling BS on that.
They killed him and they cut him open to study him. Dargo says, like an animal.
Yeah, and Aaron, points out not even peacekeepers kill to study someone.
Yeah, that's...
Which my response was, nay, they just kill someone and then oh well, if we got this corpse here anyway.
Yeah.
Like, they never do it with the intention. They just kill.
Well, I think they specifically say wouldn't kill a prisoner to study them. They might, just go shoot people randomly and then study them.
I don't believe peacekeepers would kill their prisoners.
Well, not to study them.
I'm not buying that.
I don't know, but they're not happy with John as well because he's kind of working with these people, even though that they're horrible.
He's trying to appease both sides, which
it's not working.
Aaron and Dargo are like, yeah, no, we're done.
They're really done. They're like, just go,
we're getting out the first chance we get.
Yeah. And so we go back with John's dad, and he says, you were naive to think you could protect them, and I will make Wilson understand, says John.
Yeah, and he also asks his dad, call in every contact you have, every general, every
senator,
every Pentagon mistress.
Yeah.
Excuse me? Does your mom know about this?
Just call in every favor you possibly can.
Yeah.
And Jack's like, are you willing to die for these? What he actually says is like, are you willing to die for those creatures? Which is a little insensitive.
Wow.
And John says,
I gave them my word.
Gave him my word, yeah. And so yeah, like he's getting across to everyone like, no, these are my friends. These are people who kept me alive and all that for 7 months.
Killing them.
Yeah.
Well, still one.
How do you think I'm going to feel, We've got to get them out of here because they're clearly not safe here.
No.
And so he heads off to the medical room. And
where he expects them to be by now.
Yeah. And he finds a man is on the ground, knocked out.
Oh.
And, well...
Okay, placing bets now. Dargo.
Nope. Aaron.
Ah, damn it.
Aaron appears and asks if...
Wait, I saw this episode. I should have known this.
Yeah, wait, what's going on here? It was rigged. And Aaron appears and is asked if she killed the man.
He's like, no, he's still alive.
Okay, I'm on your side, Aaron. John is saying to her, it's like, I'm on your side. You have to trust me. And turns out Dargo's been taken as well now. He's been taken away to somewhere else, a different facility, but Aaron was ready when they came for her.
Yeah, and they find out through cops where Dargo went because they ambush the guy. Yeah,
they ambush him, and now John is really losing it. Like he's angry.
Aaron punches Cobbs in the face with the butt of the rifle, and John takes his pistol and he's just pointing at him, cocking it, and like you can see really madness, not really it.
The rage,
rage in his eyes.
Yeah.
And he doesn't kill Cobbs. It's like Cobbs are like, "You're not gonna kill me, right?" And it's like, "No." Bam! He knocks him out because he's not gonna go down that route.
He's mad, but he's still a good person, and he's not just gonna shoot this guy for just because he's mad. Yeah.
He does punch him. That one's for Rigel.
Yeah, he's like wham. So John and Aaron make their escape from the base. And they're running through the rain trying to find a place that was where John and his dad used to come.
Mm-hmm. And I like... Aaron's like... So... We're sung out, this is what you call rain? I like it.
Yes, he's licking the... licking the raindrops. Fun fact! More behind the scenes. The weather was not supposed to be... It wasn't supposed to be raining. It was actually supposed to be sunny when they filmed it. And Claudia Black improvised that line about it.
Nice!
And so director Rowan Woods just went with it. It's like, sure, let's go with that.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, because, of course, she's lived in a spaceship all her life. She has never seen rain.
Yeah, exactly.
It might actually be something that not all planets have.
So yeah, there you go. We're learning a lot that Claudia Black has done an amazing job improvising a bunch of stuff.
She knows her character.
Yeah.
Apparently. Well... She took this job seriously.
Yeah, and it shows because she does an awesome job. And
yeah,
I love that the rain in this next scene, the rain becomes actually a kind of relevant. It sets the tone of the next scene.
Yeah, it really does.
Which is awesome that it wasn't. I mean, it's actually kind of funny that it wasn't planned. It's like it was raining when they shot the previous scene, and so the director was like, "Why don't we just go with that?" And
yeah,
it
That's often how your best scenes develop. Things that just pop up and you just run with.
And we'll talk about why, but it really makes this next scene really effective. Because the next scene is they're in basically a little apartment where John and his dad used to come when they would visit Australia, and Erin and John are they're sat down and, well, okay.
They're drinking beer.
They're drinking beer,
My first response was, should Erin be doing that? Because we don't know what that would do to her.
But she takes a sip of it. She actually quite likes it.
Which I'm calling bullshit. Nobody apparently likes their first beer. I've been told.
Whatever.
I never like my second or my third either. But
she's an alien.
Yeah, fine.
Quit it. And actually, John's kind of staring out the window as it's raining, and they're very kind of quiet, like thoughtful. Like, I'm sorry for getting you stuck here and stuck on Moya, and looking out the window, and then Aaron says to him, "It's like I was wrong, you were right. Earth actually is very beautiful."
Yeah, and I like that as he says, "I'm sorry," because if it weren't for me, you would still be a happy little peacekeeper, subjugating all the lesser races. And she says, "There's a lot I have to blame you for." She doesn't finish that sentence, but I'm pretty sure there's a but after that.
Yeah, it's worth it, I think, is the subtext, definitely.
I thought the subtext was going to be, but not being a peacekeeper anymore wasn't one of them.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah,
That's
okay,
what I think it was going for.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of other things, yes, she has to blame her, but that might not have been the thing she hates him. She blames on him.
Yeah. And she also says that they'll have to kill her to capture her now. She's not going back.
No. And
John, understands. He knows. And he rests his head on her shoulder and sort of slowly works his way up his neck, and then they kiss, and it's actually quite a tender moment.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that the rain makes it better is because in this scene, when they go to kiss and they stop talking, there's no background music, there's nothing, there's just the sound of the rain.
Which is perfect.
It's the perfect way to do that scene. I loved that scene so much. I was like, the rain, just like that. Everyone knows that sound, right? The rain outside when you're inside.
Yes.
And that's all you hear in that scene when they kiss, and it's so good.
It's the perfect combination of somberness and beauty.
Yeah, bingo, you got it. And then to find out that that seems to be director Rowan Woods just going with the fact that the previous scene was raining when it wasn't supposed to be. That's just,
makes for a good director.
Yeah. And so and we cut to the next morning where Erin is studying some maps. She's dressed in I think it's clearly like either John or his dad's clothes with a loose,
too big for her,
loose shirt and a big jacket. And John's in bed. Is 5 more minutes.
I like that. He wakes up. She's already been working out a plan, finding a spot that's away from civilization centers to hide.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Erin, about last night." And Erin's like, "Yeah, it's fine, John." I'm like, "Oh, Bird, only fine? Oh, poor John."
I mean, what she means is we'll worry about that later. Not right now. Not right now.
Don't ruin this for me.
But he's like, "No, come on, let's talk." She's like, "No, right now we need to strategize and get the F out of here."
Yeah, and John's like, "Yeah, okay, you're right."
Yeah. We can worry about all the other stuff when we're safe.
We both know what's coming.
Yeah, and he's like, "Okay, well, you're not going anywhere dressed like that because you're going to stand out." And so,
especially because it doesn't fit.
So he makes her put on a dress.
Which I expect is the first and the last time we'll see Erin in a dress.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, that's what I'm expecting.
Also, point of note, this is somewhere John and his dad used to come.
Yeah.
When did they get a dress?
That fit her perfectly.
Don't worry about it.
I mean, fit her perfectly is obviously Hollywood. It's more where the hell did you get the dress?
Don't worry
the only
about
thing
it.
I can imagine is that he went out and bought one.
Yeah, he might have done. It does sort of cut a bit, it does skip ahead, so that's entirely possible.
Either that or it was his mom, which is
that's
weird.
True. I don't know.
I mean, that's not that weird, actually.
And what I like is that Erin is clearly very uncomfortable in the dress, looking down, and she's moving a bit because it's more restrictive, and he's like, Are you sure about this? I have to wear this.
You look fine.
But then Jack turns up. Well, John's dad turns up.
Mm-hmm.
And knocks on the door. And Aaron's like, right, gun out.
Yeah. Oh no, he's got soldiers. Don't open up. Don't open up.
Like, she doesn't trust him. Obviously, John does entirely. And she's like, he's trying to convince her that it's fine. You don't have to. It's fine. He opens the door, and it is just Jack there. There's no one else.
Yeah.
Aaron keeps pointing the gun at him, though.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I like that his dad asked, like, is she ever going to put that gun down? And Aaron just gives her a look like, no.
Yeah, well, because that's the thing. Like, the thing with the translator microbes is that no one else can understand them, but Aaron can understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
So
it's very funny from Jack's perspective seeing them talk, because John's just talking English because Aaron can understand him.
Yeah.
But John's the only person that can understand Aaron back.
Yep. And so Jack has bad news, really. It's like he talked to everyone he knows, but no one's going to help them. They're on their own.
Nope.
And Dargo's on his way to a military warehouse in, I think, Utah or somewhere else. Yeah, somewhere very far away.
I don't know. Somewhere they aren't right now.
Yeah. And the official word is you and the aliens, you never existed. Didn't happen. And you have to get out of town, and I'll cover for you.
And John's like, no, that's a bad idea, because you don't have to get mixed up in this. His dad's like, no, I'm doing this. Like, I don't matter in the scheme of this.
Yeah, it's all, like we said, he's prepared to give up everything to protect his son.
Yeah, I'm impressed. And John's like, okay, we'll contact you once, and his dad's like, no, you're not contacting me, because they'll make me tell.
Yeah.
If I know where you are.
The less I know, the better.
Yeah, at least, and I like how he says this, at least now I get the chance to say goodbye.
Yeah, and they do, and says goodbye, son, goodbye, dad, and as they're leaving, Aaron says something to him, which actually we don't get that subtitled.
No, that's the part I reversed gibberish.
Like we said, it's not an actual thing.
I was hoping I could figure out what she said there.
And John doesn't, relate what it was. We don't know what it is,
but from the body language, I think she's telling him, okay, you're not as bad as I thought you were. That's the gist of it, I think.
And then he says, thank you, Aaron's son.
He pronounces that perfectly the first time, which I'm quite impressed with.
Yeah, which she seems to, be weirded out a little bit by.
The thing that weirded me out was that he got it right the first time. But on the other hand, that makes sense because movie magic. There's no fun in somebody stumbling on somebody else's name.
I guess so.
And I think there's maybe something in that sentence, just as there's having a human thank you for something. That's not something she's used to.
Possibly, yeah.
I think it's something in that realm.
Yeah, something like that.
Someone I just thought was my enemy just thanked me. That's
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. And then, so Aaron and John are now, they're making their way out. They're walking down the street, and things start to come apart a little.
Because he recognizes someone. The woman he saw at the beach at the start of the episode.
Yep, she's back again.
Yeah, and he's like, I know her. We used to be in 5th grade for a few weeks. Yeah. I'm like, how do you know that was her if it's 5th grade? She looks a lot older, but fine.
Then there's a man at the newsstand, and at the newsstand, all the magazines are 7 months old.
Yeah, wait, what?
This is when the penny starts to drop, something else is going on.
Yes.
And the man at the newsstand is also someone John recognizes. He's
actually in the, earlier in the episode, on the beach.
Yeah.
He's one of the people, there's a brief shot of him I liked, and I thought it was to signify that person is one of the people watching them. No, that person is going to be relevant later in the episode.
And he says, actually, I used to know you from years ago. I used to ride my bike past your house in 5th grade.
Yeah, and I know... And he starts looking around, and he recognizes everybody.
Literally, everyone is someone that he knows. And
to a greater or lesser extent.
Yeah, that he recognizes, that he remembers.
Rightfully freaking out.
Yeah, he's losing it, and he in fact pulls a gun, and actually pulls a gun on Erin because he assumes that she's also part of this, because obviously she's someone from his
Yeah,
memory.
he remembers.
And every place he's been to so far is somewhere that he remembers from his past.
Yeah, he's already been at.
So he goes into a pool bar, and it's just the way he remembers it. There's all people in there he recognizes. He knows everyone
and I
there
like
too.
this, he's like, but you're not supposed to be here, because this is Australia.
Yeah.
I recognize you people from America, a lot of them. He's like, the context isn't right.
Yeah. And
He kicks open the bathroom.
I love this.
and it's
I'm
like,
sorry.
There's three.
I love where this goes, because
There's like 3 people watching, and they're just in the toilet. Yep, exactly like I remember it. And he walks out,
he's about to leave, and he's like,
and then he's like,
wait a minute.
but I've never been in there. Turns to the women's bathroom, kicks open the door, and there's like...
Orange energy or something behind
It's
it.
nothingness is the best way to describe this.
It's
Like, nothing there beyond the first few steps of the door.
I love that he's like, where have I never been before? The ladies' room.
I mean, it's silly, but it makes total sense.
It works.
That is the one place that is completely integral to that location that he's never been at. It's a door that has to be there, because otherwise it makes no sense.
So, alright, so this is all some kind of simulation or
Yes.
dream or something.
Yeah, do we want to start at this point, or do we want to wait until the whole penny drops for unraveling all the pieces?
Well, I mean, it pretty much starts out pretty quick from that, because what he does is he heads back to the military base once he realizes that behind the ladies' room door is just orange nothingness.
Yeah.
And he goes back there and actually meets up with his dad in air
No,
quotes.
there's a better scene before this, because he walks up to the military base and
yeah.
Wilson's are like, holding a gun at him, stop! And he's like, Wilson, 1, you're not the real Wilson, 2, you're not going to stop me, 3, I know you're not the guy in charge.
Yep.
And he just walks past him, and Wilson just like, well, shit, the gig's up.
Yep. And that's when he goes in to meet his dad, quotes,
Heavy air quotes.
who is just sitting on a chair in a big open space.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes up to him and just starts
He
talking
opens
to
with the question I had as well. Who are you? Really?
And he's like, I'm not your father. And he's like, right, okay, now that he's figured it out, they're not gonna, try and string him along anymore.
No, and we find out that Rigel is still alive, and Dargo is still here. They're in the same cell, which for some reason is here, but they are both still alive. And actually, they've been treating him pretty well, because apparently they've been giving him a Hynerian delicacy.
Yeah, I mean, it's either an actual Hynerian delicacy or something that's close enough. It's a bowl of snails.
Yeah, I was kind of glad I was eating, and those snails looked incredibly fake, because otherwise, yeah.
But yeah, that's the other thing. We find out that, no, not everyone in there was fake. Aaron, Dargo, and Rigel were all really
Yes.
there, because they went to go check out the wormhole, so we brought them into the
They were like, well,
thing.
it's almost like the scene with the rain. Well, if they're here any well, we'll just roll with it. We'll integrate them into the simulation.
Yeah, basically. And Rigel's fine. He's not dead. I mean, which we knew was coming because, we have
Look, I
more
was trying to sell it
streamlines.
as heavily as I could.
We may have overdone it a bit.
Which is even funnier, I think. So, yeah, I think... So, before we go to who these people really are, let's go back and look at a few points that were hinting at the fact that this wasn't actually real. Because I made special notes on those.
All right, let's do it.
First of all, the tech guy that he recognized. That scene was a little bit out of place. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I know you. Didn't we... where do I know you from? Oh, yeah, we worked on that. That was the first hint.
Yep.
Which, I mean, if you knew what was coming, it's a clear hint. Otherwise, not. The fact that they showed they showed John Rigel's corpse, which also gets brought up.
Yeah.
Actually, in this scene, because it makes no sense as they would show Rigel's corpse right away, specifically call him to look at that. Like, they would have been hiding that as long as they could.
Yeah. Oh, that's true, actually.
Like, they could have even told him that he's dead, stitch him up, and then I'll show him completely dissected.
Yeah. But the reason that they did that, the aliens who did this, is because they needed a human reaction, they say.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
But everything had to be thoroughly convincing, but this was the best they could do because they could only pull from John's memories.
Yes, they could. That's why all the magazines were 7 months old. They couldn't think up anything new.
No.
Which Sounds stupid, but because we're thinking up a lot of new scenarios, you'd think they could have mimicked other news.
They could have. I mean, it could have come close and been just kind of an odd sort of gibberish, kind of like a lorem ipsum of stuff, which he probably would have figured out as well.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, going with 7-month-old magazines, like,
yeah,
I would have at least gone with 12-old month and just slapped a new year on it. He wouldn't have noticed, probably.
Yeah. Also, actually, thinking about things that were kind of a clue, the very first thing is like possibly that he recognizes that this is Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, wait, no, I recognize this. This is Australia.
Yeah, the fact that he knew where he crash landed. This is Australia, right?
Yeah.
Also, the fact that his dad got Aaron's son right the first time.
Yeah, I mean, by that point, and the fact that his dad actually responded to Erin as if he understood her, like, I mean, that's when the penny starts to drop. That's when it's like, a little bit.
That wasn't the scene that dropped the penny, because he could have been like, thank you, Aaron's son. Wait, no, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Because if she said, thank you, you're not as bad as I thought you were, and he said, thank you, Aaron's son, not thank you for... I read that line as being, thank you for protecting my son, Aaron's son.
Yeah.
But the way you could also interpret that is thank you for the compliment, Aaron's son.
The way it seems to be presented is like a direct response to what she actually said.
Yep. The second one.
Exactly. So it's like, wait a minute. And then that leads into very quickly the reveal of what's been actually happening. So
yeah. So let's get back on track. Sorry for that.
That's okay.
Rethreading.
So yeah, John had to believe everything. We had to draw from your memories.
He said, I like that his fake dad actually says, well, you figured it out a lot faster than most species. Like, yes, score on for the humans.
But John is still very upset at this. It's like, you pretended to be my dad. And he shoves him. Mm-hmm. And actually kind of tears a bit off the front of his chest.
Dad!
Yeah, which is like weird flesh underneath that's kind of not human and is orangey red kind of colour. It's weird. And there's 2 big holes in his chest, basically. So it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who are you lot then? And it's like, okay, let me show you who we are. And it actually explains like what those aliens are up to.
Yeah, he opens a door, goes through a hallway, and we find what looks like, I mean, breeding pods in a way.
Yeah.
They're like 3-pronged flowers upside down.
Yep, that's what they are. And
3-petaled flowers.
And so here's the lowdown. Here's what's been going on. Like,
yeah.
These aliens who are called ancients, I think he
the only way they're called ancients is in the description on the DVD.
Actually, no. He does say like the ancients
have a story.
Have a story
about a planet that will accept us.
There you go.
I read that as the older ones, as in the people of my race that are ancient.
Well, as far as we're concerned, they're called the ancients anyway.
Fine.
But he says that they're looking for a place to settle down. And John says to take over. It's like, no, we want to live in harmony with people.
Yeah, cohabitate.
And we're looking for a planet that would be amenable to something like that. And so we went through your mind to see if Earth could do that. And yeah, no, it can't.
Which, okay, this is where I'm calling BS on this whole operation. Why did they have to put John through this? Because they said they needed a human reaction. To what? Rigel being dead? Well, that apparently wasn't enough for them to mark Earth as possible. They went through his memory, they saw a million Wilsons, and were like, okay, we're not going here. So at that point, you were done, right? You didn't have to put John through anything else. You can just go, let's look at your memory. Yep, no, okay, be on your merry way.
What they might wanted to have tested was to see if everyone was like that, or to see if,
but then that... I mean,
in
that case, they would have been like, okay, let's put it on the maybe list. Which they also don't do.
No.
That would have been fine if they were like, okay, some humans would accept us, some not, so it's better than a lot of other things we see, so it goes on the maybe list for in case of emergencies.
Yeah.
Because John also asks, why couldn't you have just gone to Earth and found it for yourself? And they only have enough energy left for one wormhole trip of that distance.
Yeah, so they want to make sure before they do that. So I can see why they would be like, okay, no, we only get one shot at this. We want to be sure about this.
Yeah.
And they actually say, like, you're just confirming that the highest life form is the most destructive as well, which, is not inaccurate when it comes to humans. And actually, to the alien's credit, he says, I'm sorry I had to take the form of your dad.
But it was the best spy.
Yeah. And, by the way, throughout this conversation, there's some interesting camera work because it's kind of panning around and rotating around both of them and fading to black as it cuts between...
Yeah, because the lights are apparently dimming and...
coming back on again. But on again. There's just some interesting fades in while that conversation happens. And there are images projected up kind of above John's head of, like, his childhood and his older memories and stuff like that. It's kind of like it is a bit of an... I guess ephemeral kind of feeling of like it's a little bit dreamlike, maybe. Because they're at this point we know that they're inside his head.
Are they inside his head? I think they're more in.
Well, they're taking things out of his head.
I was going to say I think it's more in the direction of a hollow deck.
Yeah, I guess so. And so we'll keep looking for a home. And so John says, "So will I." So,
yeah, it's like what will you do now? We'll just keep doing what we were doing before, even before I was hatched. And also, the alien shows his true form.
Yeah, which is a kind of spindly, almost somewhere between, sort of insectoid, but looking a little bit fleshier. But it has very spindly legs and limbs, and is actually a puppet. It's a Jim Henson creation in the close-up. We don't see like a full body shot.
No, but we don't have to.
We kind of do, but it's in a reflection, and that's clearly CG.
Yeah.
And then it actually talks to John in a close-up where you can see mandibles moving. It has like glowing eyes, and it's
gorgeous,
pretty effective. Yeah.
Actually, the aliens that I find prettier are the older ones, the ones that are suspended from the pods.
Yeah,
faces are gorgeous.
Yeah, you can kind of see them through the membrane, and they have this outline of a face, and their eyes look like Tesla balls. Actually,
yeah, and the way their eyelids close and the shape of their face, they remind me of a species from Lilo and Stitch.
Oh.
Television series. There's a woman that is at some point shows up. I think it's at the start of the series that is one of the keepers of prison Stitch broke out of.
Okay.
These aliens reminding me a lot of her face-wise. Right.
Well, there you go. And so he's revealed himself and is saying, good luck with your search. Good luck with yours and all that stuff. Maybe we'll meet again one day. And actually, the ancient gives back John's dad's lucky ring.
Yeah,
he gives it back on a little tiny arm. It's like, here you go. Thanks.
And like, here, this isn't mine. This is yours. Take it back.
And so they depart, and John goes back through the door, which now opens onto open water or like some waves breaking or something.
And that's where the episode ends.
Yeah, that's where the episode ends. I was a little bit like, wait, how did they? Where were they keeping?
We don't need to know.
Okay,
that's not relevant. They go back to the ship. I mean,
I know.
They already said that they're not that far from Moya, so they didn't need to know anything more than that.
All right, well, there you go. That's where the episode ends. So that's the end of a human reaction.
Yeah. So, elephant in the room. Aside from that scene with Aaron, which was the real Aaron, nothing that actually happened was relevant because nothing actually happened.
No, but what it did do was move along Aaron and John's relationship hugely. And it solidified at the beginning, at the very start, it really solidified the fact that John and the rest of the crew are all close friends now.
That is true.
Which has not been explicitly stated before because they've been angry with him, fed up with him, and all that. But at the beginning, it's like, no, they do really care for him and that he cares for them. And it's hard to say goodbye to them, even though he wants to go home.
True. But it was still all a dream.
Sort of. I mean, everyone who was there, it did experience stuff. It wasn't just John having a dream. If it had all been a dream and all the stuff with Aaron hadn't mattered, I would have been mad.
But it was one of the things that I'm like, this is all very interesting, but aside from the things with Aaron and the part at the start, nothing really happened.
Yeah. I mean,
and also, I don't know what it is, but this episode just didn't strike a chord with me.
I really like Aaron and John together.
Oh, definitely. That was the highlight of the episode. Totally.
And yeah, the alien bit about, we were testing you, it kind of because it happens right at the end of the episode, it is kind of there and then gone again very quickly.
But it's like a lot of the things that happen in this episode get negated at the end, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, but it really did develop relationships,
that is true.
Which is a good thing. And this is actually apparently this is one of the cast and crew's most favorite from this season because of how it advances the characters. You know,
because I was going for 3 out of 5.
I mean, stick with that. I mean, don't let that sway you. I would probably rate it a bit higher. I would probably go for a 4.
Yeah, I can't. I gotta stick with 3 out of 5.
All right, fair enough. That's fine. But yeah, I would go a little bit higher. But 3, 4, they're not that far apart. That's fine.
No. Okay, so you're going for 4. I'm going for 3. That's fair.
We can meet in the middle and say that makes the average, I guess, 3.5. But
yeah,
whatever. That's probably about right. But
the problem is, at this point, I'm not sure if I'm doing it because I really think it's a 3. I'm just trying to rebel against Farscape World at this point.
Well, overall, though, it was still a good episode.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not a 2.
Oh no,
it's a high 3.
It's a good episode.
At the very least.
Yeah, and like we said, we didn't see Zan or much from Chiana, so we haven't developed that. But we will certainly be seeing more of them coming up. So yeah, and I think part of the reason I'm so impressed with this episode is because it's largely down to Claudia Black and how much of her influence is in this with the Sebastian language and the improvised rain scene, and how that affected the rest of the episode, which was so good. Like, it made that following scene, if that following scene with Aaron and John in the little apartment had just been with the sunshine, it would have been fine, but the rain adds
been as strong.
Yeah, the rain adds something extra to it when they just go to kiss and you hear nothing but the rain outside. It's so good, and I really like that. So that's probably why I'm rating it a bit higher. But there you go.
Yeah. I can't have an episode stand on only one scene, sadly.
Fair enough. That's totally fine. Well, so there we go. That's what we thought of episode 16, A Human Reaction.
Yeah.
And like I said, we may differ on certain parts, but overall, pretty good.
Yeah, still a good episode.
Yeah. And anything that advances character relationships is good in my book. So, yeah, that'll be it from us this week, and we'll be back next week with the next episode, which is episode 17, Through the Looking Glass.
Ooh.
And this one looks like it's going to be a weird one. Let me read you the synopsis here. Moya performs an emergency starburst that fragments her into 4 different dimensions.
I remember reading this synopsis.
And
the brief part.
And John attempts to find crew members missing in each dimension, and there's an energy creature, and this sounds like it's going to be a weird one.
It sounds like my kind of episode, strangely enough.
That'll be what we're discussing next week. And yeah, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And in the meantime, if you want to get in touch, you can find us both on Twitter. I'm at CantWearHats, Red is at Tree.
Yes.
And previous episodes are up on youtube.com/CantWearHats. And this podcast is supported by the generous support.
Yes, support.
Supported by the generous support. It's a tautology, but who cares? Of the CantWearHats Patreon, all the awesome people who are generous enough to support that there, and it's brought to you by you, as we always say at the end of this episode.
Yes. You can find CantWearHats' Patreon on Patreon looking for CantWearHats.
I mean, funnily enough.
Yeah.
And that supports this podcast and my other projects, so go check that out if you haven't, and thank you to everyone who does support this. That is awesome. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Right?
Probably.
Unless this has all been a dream.
No.
Yeah, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Woo. Red, I have something to tell you.
What?
This is all but a simulation.
That sounded amazing.
Red, I have something to tell you.
Fuck you.
It's like, come on, you have a line. Red, I have something to tell you.
What is it?
This isn't gonna work. Red, I have something to tell you.
Well, what is it?
this has all been a simulation.
Well, that's kind of awkward, because I've been also simulating your life.
Oh, this is awkward.
Do you want to go get coffee?
Sure, why not?